Am I the only one that's getting really fucking hyped for Bleach in these past couple weeks? Like, last week's chapter and this week's chapter, hype. Hype, 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 hype. Like, seriously. Seeing the flashback in this week's chapter of Bleach, and then, you know, the setup with last week's chapter, it's really getting me interested in Bleach, because usually we don't get a lot of flashbacks with Bleach. Like, there's not a lot of flashbacks at all, but when we do get flashbacks, some of the flashbacks are really damn nice and give some really good characterization to a lot of the characters and backstory to some of the characters. And so seeing this flashback come up that focuses on BazzB and Jugo, I'm really liking it. Koobs is on point with this chapter, and I'm looking forward to next week, because it looks like we're finally going to get some answers on the Stern Ritters and where they came from and like why they were assembled by Balk. Looking forward to that. So some really good characterization taking place in this chapter. So the main focus of this chapter, as I've already stated, was characterization on BazzB and Jugo, finding out how they met, where they were as they were children, and kind of finding out that BazzB was a genius Quincy that was a lot stronger than Jugo when he was younger. For instance, BazzB was a genius that could accomplish a lot of great things, but Jugo was someone that wasn't that talented when he was younger, and this was very shocking seeing in this chapter. But what was really shocking was to find out how these two were such a close relationship, and then how they had their goal to where they wanted to kill Balk, and they turned up to serving Balk. See, there's a huge question right there that this chapter gives us. Like, they became good friends, like best friends pretty much, from what we can see from this backstory. And then they decided to hunt down Balk and kill him for the acts he caused, which I'll get into just a moment. And then for some reason they start serving Balk. So right there, a lot of interesting questions I have right now. But main thing is that was very subtle with this chapter was Jugo and whoever was watching over him. So from what we find out is Balk burns down the forest, and he burns down this village of BazzB and Jugo. And BazzB's family, everything gets killed, and so does Jugo. Jugo's uncle dies. But from what we see in this flashback, it was very subtle. It wasn't really explained, but it's very subtle, and you can kind of get a little bit of information out of that. You see it to where when Jugo's in the forest, you know, BazzB leaves, this person comes up and starts talking to Jugo and says, like, "Oh, there you are, you're too weak and all that, you can't do nothing without me, can you, little Jugo?" And something like that. I know that wasn't word for word, but it was similar to that. It made me think, like, so I was like, okay, so whoever this is very possessive over Jugo. Like, this person is very possessive and wants to control Jugo, his actions, and what he wants to do with his life. And I'm like, okay, this person's definitely not very good. And I don't know, and I can't really know or tell if that person was the uncle or if it was someone else close to Jugo, because it wasn't really specific to gender-wise when it came to that. So I have no idea if it was a female or male, or if it was, you know, the uncle or non-uncle or whoever. But a lot of questions are really geared towards that scene in this chapter for me when I was reading it, and a lot of good information to really just pluck out. So, besides that, the backgrounds I have to notice, like, I really noticed with this chapter, Kubo put a really good detail into the backgrounds of this chapter, because as we know, Kubo isn't one to really draw a lot of good backgrounds, like, he isn't. I mean, usually he has just, you know, solid black backgrounds or solid white backgrounds, but I noticed in this chapter, a lot of the backgrounds are very detailed, so, good job, Koobs. Good job, Koobs. So, looking forward to next week. Hopefully, Kubo continues to stay on point with this pacing and these flashbacks. Let me know in the comments below how you feel about this. I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.